Ask any Nobel Prize winner, Emmanuel Charpentier or Jennifer Doudna. Ask any successful scientist, Edison or Dyson. Ask anybody who has ever worked in a lab, how important is teamwork when doing lab work? 99.99% people will say, oh, it's the soul of the work. But still, many of the labs fail, many of the PhD students suffer, many of the postdoc students suffer when there is no teamwork. So in this video, we are going to talk about how to foster teamwork when you're doing lab work. Well, this video is for everybody and anybody who wants to build a career in research in the life science, pharma, and chemical industry. You are up for some great pointers here in this video. Now, to be very frank, I have worked with several, great people in different labs in my life and on short projects. And what I learned from them is it is really, really, really very important if you are not on the same page. If you are not on the same page, you are probably shooting for the star while your teammate is shooting for the moon, and the result is nothing, right? And this leads to toxic lab cultures. This leads to misunderstandings, and this leads to PhD students quitting their PhD, postdocs to professionals quitting their postdoc, scientists altogether getting devastated, and that leads to further denial of funding in the future. So if you can fix the teamwork today, you can get funding tomorrow. If you can fix the teamwork today, you can have the next breakthrough tomorrow. But sadly, nobody's talking about it. So I decided to talk about it. And let's start with the first point. You have to be politely blunt. Yes, you heard me right. You gotta be politely blunt when you're working in a team. Generally, experts will say you need to have open communication and transparent culture. But as simple as that, it's very difficult to do that. So let's do it. Suppose you are trying to shoot for the stars and your team mate or lab mate is trying to shoot for the moon. So both of you are not on the same page, right? So probably you both need to go for a coffee. Okay, go for a coffee. Now, after or during the coffee, say that, see guys, we are not on the same page. I'm trying this and you're trying that. Ultimately, it will lead to wastage of your time, my time, right? So let me be very open and blunt to you. What you're trying is hurting me and what I'm trying is hurting you. So better be on the same page, or let's, take up different projects, okay? There can be agreements, there can be disagreements. Let's agree that there should be disagreements when you're pursuing science. But when you don't put that across to your lab mate, you will waste your time. They will waste their time. And at the end, both of you will end up frustrated, not because you didn't get results, because both of you tried different things, right? So that's very important. Now, once you have done that, okay, so we were politely blunt. Next is set common goals, overlapping goals. So, okay, he's trying to do something else, you're trying to do something else of the same big picture. So what do? You come together and say, okay, this is the common goal post which we all have to achieve. This is a flag post which we have to achieve. So how can you contribute? Instead of saying you do this, say that how can you contribute? Right? So once you've set the common goals, ask him what are the portions you can contribute and let him voluntarily take that. And after that, you can assign, okay, I think you are capable of doing this also, please take this as well. So when you all have a delegation method, when you have a common goal and when you have a common delegation method where you allow people to volunteer and then you assign, it becomes easier, right? So that's the point number 2. See, I'm telling you all this from practical ways, practical things which I have seen in the lab. I've worked in the lab, I've faced this, and then I'm telling you that this is where things will go wrong. Right? So you need to allow your lab mate to choose what they like and then assign something which you feel they are talented and they forgot to choose. So that's the second point. Let's jump to the third point now. So the third point is again very important, and that is knowledge sharing sessions. So occasionally, like once a week, let all the teammates, lab mates come together, probably a coffee or a pizza, and then discuss that, okay, what did you learn in the last few days which you would like to share? Let everybody share their knowledge. Let that collaborative learning experience happen. So basically, I'll tell you, so somebody may be very good in preparing the slides, while somebody else might be very good in focusing the microscopes. So the knowledge sharing can happen. So this guy will tell you how he prepares the slide in the excellent way. So now you're not just learning by observation, you're learning by being taught. The same way you can teach how you focus your experiments, how you designed your experiments in a better way, so the other person learns. So that is where knowledge sharing sessions per week is very important to avoid collisions and at the same time develop respect, mutual respect. Because when somebody teaches you, you develop respect. Oh, he's a good person, he teaches nicely. So unless that happens, so knowledge sharing sessions must happen. Now, the fourth point is very important, and this I'm sure you must have faced, is embrace diversity but have a common ground language. Okay. So I was working in a lab where there were German students, there were Chinese students, and there were French students. Now all of them, like 2 French, 3 German, and 4 Chinese. And I was like Indian English. So, and my PI was US. So what happens is now the Chinese will talk in Chinese and form a group. The Germans will form a group and talk only in German language, and the French will obviously speak in French, and Chinese will speak in Chinese. I was like, the odd man out. So I spoke to my guide and said, what should we do here? So then we created a lab culture where, okay, you all can speak in your common language outside the lab. But in the lab, there should be only one acceptable language, which can be English or which can be whatever language you choose. So that way, you embrace the diversity, you respect their diversity, but when you have a common language, there will be less collisions. Otherwise, suppose I used the apparatus, the moment I'm going out and this guy speaks to his same country guy and says in his language something and he laughs, I'll feel that did he make a joke of me? And that leads to collision, right? So that leads to a situation where I won't like collaborating with this person, right? So embrace diversity, but have a common language in the lab. Never ever allow multiple languages. That will lead to too much of confusion, too much of collisions, and too much of delays, right? So that's the fourth point for this video. Let's jump on to the fifth point now. Now, the fifth point is lead by example. Well, this is something which is for those who are in a leadership position. It can be your project guide or PI. If you want, even you can take the lead. So you have to set an example for others by doing whatever I said in the first 5 points. And of course, reaching out to people who are not mingling with you. Right? So you have to set an example by following the rules, by nurturing others, by training others, by volunteering when they need help. So, it's a very beautiful human behavior that if I, extend my hand, automatically you will extend your hand and shake hands with me. This is how human behavior is. So when you try to help, people will try to help. So you have to set an example by trying to help your lab mates. That works. Yes, it has worked for me. It will work for you. Try it out. Now, the next point for you should be organize team building activities. Go out, talk to your PI, allocate a budget, reach out to some adventure activity where teams come together, right? Probably you're not doing experiment, but you're doing something else, right? It will be fun for you. It will be fun for them. Probably get together, going for dinner parties, going to some recreation zones like in Bangalore, you have Wonderla or something. Right, going to places, playing volleyball, tennis, whatever, group activities. So what will happen now is these team building activity will create it will foster a relationship where you will not be an enemy of each other. Instead, you will be friends, right? And this is a universal truth. Friends work together in a better and much coordinated way than enemies, right? So of course, let's make friends, right? So make friends with your lab mates, but of course that can lead to collisions as well, but avoid that. Draw up professional barriers to entry, but definitely it'll help you. So indulge in team building activities. Now, still, like I told you, I think 6 points or 7 points now, but still there can be collisions, right? Happens. Or maybe before you get started, already collisions are happening within your lab. If you don't sort it out, your PhD can be in danger, your postdoc can be in danger, your lab, your PI may fire you or may fire your colleague. Do you want that? No, right? So what you have to do is, 7th point is important, and that is resolve conflicts amicably, promptly. Like, okay, somebody yelled at you or you yelled at someone. Let's come together. Let's apologize. Let's, discuss that. How can we avoid this from happening? What behavior of mine hurt you? I'm really sorry about that. Many times you feel that, why should I apologize? I have not done a mistake. But the question to be asked is, we apologize because the other person is important, not because I'm important, right? So we apologize because the PI may feel hurt or may feel agonized, or maybe my PhD can be in danger if I don't. How does it matter? It's all right to apologize, or it's all right to sort things out by talking. Even the Kashmir issue can be sorted if two nations come together and talk, which they don't, of course, because of various political reasons. But hey, lab is not a political party or a political election that you need to fight. All you have to do is collaborate. Any discovery in this world has happened only when people collaborated, not because people fought. Correct? So, yeah, resolve conflicts amicably but promptly. Let's jump on to the next one. The next point is a simple word: praise. Praise is the biggest investment you can make today in your lab mate, in your project guide, in your teammates, even your lab assistant, right? Research assistant, whoever it is. Praise works always, but only genuine praise, not makhanbaji, no buttering, but the real praise. When you reach out, when you really praise them, and if you really appreciate them in a genuine way, it will come back to you in a 10 times bigger way, right? How it will be? Because now they will also start acknowledging your achievements and they will start going out of the way to help you. Trust me, this is one of the best ways to get out of a toxic culture in a lab and still stay in the same lab, which I think is the best way to go forward, because you can't just unregister your PhD and move to another lab, because the same situation can happen there, right? So foster a supportive culture and provide recognition and praise and appreciation to your lab mates, right? Now, again, so the ninth point can be fostering, be supportive, help out, reach out whenever they feel low, whenever they need your help, whenever they need professional or personal guidance or help, do it. Maybe when you need, you also reach out and ask help. That way, you will develop a better lab culture where people work for a common goal and you get better results in your projects, whatever it is. Now, having said that, one thing which we should never forget is working in a lab is all about professional development, personal development, and a learning experience, right? Because what you're doing, you're learning. So never ever stop learning while all of this is happening. Never ever stop applying your knowledge in your experiments. And yeah, I think these points should be sufficient to help you translate your lab from a toxic lab to a good lab where you enjoy working. And that's my aim. That should be your aim and goal, because the more you enjoy working in your lab, you're going to excel and your lab mates are going to excel. You will be able to produce more research papers. You'll be able to develop better products, better research for your lab, and that will lead to more funding for your lab, right? So more money will flow, right? So fighting never helped anybody. So don't do that. Instead, develop teamwork, collaborate, coordinate, and achieve greater, grander success. That's my aim. I know probably this will be the only video on YouTube where people have talked about, teamwork in a lab, but I genuinely care for you. So here it is. Thank you so much for watching and see you soon in the next one. Till then, take care, keep shining. Bye-bye.